How's it going, guys and gals? My name is Beckett and welcome back to another Beckett Reacts video. In today's video, we are going back to the land of Jubilee with another middle ground video. And this video was one that I saw on their channel a while ago and I put into my Beckett Reacts playlist for later viewing because, well, this was something that I have thought about every now and then. I mean, it's one of those like idle train of thought kind of things. Just my brain goes from one thing to the next, and it just has thought about that. It is, should everyone have to cover their nipples? And it is something that I've thought about. I always ended up going into like a really weird loop spiral whenever I try and like explain it to myself, because obviously you have women who have breasts and stuff, and they obviously do wear bras and stuff, and that which covers up the nipples and stuff. Whereas men, a lot of men walk around topless and shirtless, and they don't have anything to cover it up. So, I'm not gonna go into my explanation because I will end up looping, and it's also not an easy train of thought to follow sometimes. I mean, even I don't follow my own train of thought sometimes. So I'm not too sure what my thoughts are on this, to be honest, so I'm just gonna play it and see what happens.
Men are just as sacred as women. We are not more sacred, and so we should all either cover up or go bare-chested. I'm elected.
That's also a good thing. Sorry. I'm sorry now. I was gonna go into an explanation or something, but then I read that obviously YouTube's put up the whole auto-generated captions, and I'm just sat here about reading through, and I'm just. Obviously, I know what it means, but it's just funny because I read I'm pro-free the nipple. For some reason, that just made me laugh. Why was that so funny? Oh, fuck Christ. Anyway, what I was gonna say was, it went through just then you saw like a load of montage of different pictures with, statues or images of women and women with obviously their all nipples showing and stuff, and it made me think because obviously I've seen like every now and then like TV shows or videos where there's someone in some sort of like really like what's the word? I don't want to say like, not like sort of like, or like the I'm gonna use the word. Apologies if this is the wrong word, but I can't find the right word. Like poorer looking areas of different countries where, or less developed, even that where there are these tribes and stuff, and the women walk around with their nipples out and stuff, and they seem completely alright with it. And it just seems like a normal way of life for them. So that's also something I hadn't considered. But before watching this video, I hadn't thought about that. But that's also a thing. Come on, Toby, put it together. Sake. Oh.
Alexa, I'm pro-free the nipple, and I think that covering up.
I couldn't hold it together when I read it myself, and I hear her say it, and I just lose it again. Fuck's sake. Oh, fuck it. Right, I'm just gonna continue it, and if I laugh, I laugh. Fuck it.
Up the nipple is rooted in a lot of outdated concepts.
I want to ask the opposing side, beyond a biological perspective, what is the major difference between a man and a woman's nipple that makes it so drastic?
I'm August. I'm pro-free the nipple because I want to have the freedom to go bare-chested just like men can.
I'm anti-free the nipple movement because I think it adds the objectification of women.
I'm against this movement because I think that the answer to our problem of sexualization is more than just allowing women to be topless.
I guess it can also be a fact of that, obviously, it's natural for us as human beings to cover up our sexual organs and stuff, and obviously they're part of, well, not part of, but they're as I just researched just to make sure I'm right on this, which may sound weird, but just it's something I do sometimes, just especially on these videos, that they are a second, like they're in the sort of characteristics of sexual organs and stuff. So it's something, and on the whole mindset that we cover up our sexual organs, I can see where that's coming from.
Step forward if you agree. Nobody should be allowed to be shirtless in public.
I don't like telling
So I'm assuming that's even the men, I'm assuming.
people what to do, but I don't think it's necessary for anyone to be shirtless in public. I think there's a time and place for when you take off your clothes. In public, just out of respect for other people, like, I don't want to see a guy shirtless.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember, like, I would sometimes walk to school growing up, and like all the track people would be running and the guys would always be running with the shirt off, and I would get so annoyed. Like, I just, I don't really see a point in someone just walking around without their shirt or going into a store without their shirt, a guy or a girl.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I mean, like, I don't think there's a need to go topless at any point. I think it's just more about, like, convenience, especially if it's, like, really hot out. Like, I don't really want to be wearing
That is something. I mean, obviously, if you're in a casual environment and you're not like you don't need to be like in a professional way or anything, like then I guess in that respect, having your shirt off would probably make sense.
shirt, especially like in New York where I live. It's really like humid and stuff. I don't know, shirts are kind of uncomfortable in that context.
Like, a man walking around shirtless in a grocery store is going to be weird regardless, and I think a woman doing that would be weird as well. But if a man goes with a shirt off on a beach and a woman were to do that, I think that should both be fine.
The context does matter, but as a whole, even if we do change society to be more free in that aspect, the core of these issues isn't going to change, because like in other countries, when they have a different mindset than we do, and the issues are still prevalent. Like, the core of like how crappy humans are or can be doesn't really change whether or not you allow people to be free or not.
It will. I absolutely believe that it will. And I think it's a very simple matter of obliterating misogynists, and that's not just men, but women who uphold misogyny, which comes from conservative thinking.
Why do you think that is? Like, what makes you think that having that freedom is the answer?
Abrahamic religions have so much influence over the way we all
Like, what makes you
What did she say?
think that having that freedom is the answer?
Abrahamic religions.
Abrahamic religions? What the fuck is that? Hold on. Abrahamic religions? What is that? I've never heard of that before. Here's a short thing. Abrahamic religions are those that worship Abrahamic religions. Abrahamic religions are those that worship the God of Abraham, including Judaism. Oh wait, Abraham, isn't he like a isn't he isn't he like a god or some religious? I forgot about that completely. Oh yes, he is, isn't he? He's a patriarch of some. Yes. I won't lie, I completely forgot about that type of Abraham and thought she was on about Abraham Lincoln. That's why I got so confused. But then I read about it and I was like, oh no, that's all Abraham. Okay, right, gotcha. That makes more sense now. Right? So let me just double back then a minute.
Freedom is the answer.
Abrahamic religions have so much influence over the way we all have grown up, and our parents and their parents. And I'm going through my own cleansing process of things in my upbringing that came from my parents raising them, that trickled down into my raising my kids, that is harmful, absolutely harmful and disgusting and pathetic.
Breasts are inherently sexual.
What, like? So from what I'm getting from that, is that she's saying that things like things like covering up your nipples and stuff and not being able to express them is harmful. You see, at first I heard that and I thought, why did that be wrong? But the thing is, these things make me think maybe it's alright, but maybe it makes sense. But I'm just gonna continue the video now. I don't think I'm gonna question it. I'm just gonna continue the video because that's gonna make me spiral again. But breasts, I think we're taught, and it not only are we like, do we from like just like the past and stuff, but we also, and just brought down from like all the generations. But I think we are taught, and we just inherently know and stuff that breasts are considered something sexual and to be covered up. I think that is what it is.
Breasts are inherently sexual if the whole entire body is inherently sexual. A shoulder, the tip of a nose, even eyelashes, every...
Inherently, I'm trying to... Okay, characteristics, so yeah. So I was reading that the inherently sexual, and I couldn't really understand it, like because the word inherently, so, but I did read earlier about breasts being like a sexual characteristic. So and it does say in definition here inherently in a permanent, essential, or in a characteristic way. So yeah, okay, gotcha.
Everything can become erogenous.
I totally agree with you of everything you said, but I think inherently they're not sexual.
I do doula work, and so I care deeply about women's bodies and the nature of child rearing and childbirth.
Like when we're born, hopefully people don't sexualize babies, and actually when I work with parents, I make sure that they don't objectify their child. I'm like, this is your child, they're not your mini-me, they're not yours to play with, they're not your doll, they're not your toy. They're their own person, and we should treat them with respect. I just don't think that inherently bodies are supposed to be sexualized. It's society and people who have sexualized the body.
Like, I was in dance for a long time, and I was like also in sports, so I just can't imagine like not being able to wear a sports bra when playing soccer. Like, I just feel like that'll just cause a lot of discomfort. When it comes to like running and stuff, I feel like it would be harder to do those things without a sports bra.
Oh yeah,
like,
because you'd be bouncing
yeah,
everywhere.
like,
But still,
I mean, say something. I think that the answer isn't freeing the nipple and just letting everyone be liberated. I think the answer is that in your home, teach your child how to respect someone's body, how to respect themselves. And my mom might get mad at me for saying this, but like in my home, she was almost never dressed. She's super, super Christian. But at the same time, that should be in my home.
I guess more as appearance-wise, if we're talking free the nipple, I don't see the difference. I mean, I'll be candid, I've seen both male and female nipples before in my life, and I couldn't really tell a difference.
I will say on that though, I'm a transgender woman, so when I started transitioning, my nipples changed a lot. They became a lot more puffy, they became bigger, bigger areolas, and they became a lot more sensitive. I think part of the sexualization of female nipples is because of that it's like an erogenous zone as well. That's like one aspect of it.
Right.
So I will say like they are a bit different.
I think that women's bodies are really sacred, and I don't feel like I need to take off my shirt to feel like equal to a man, if that makes sense, a biological male.
But I think it goes beyond even being equal to a man, because we're now more than just men and women. I have a child who is recently identifying as non-binary. And just yesterday I met a biological woman who was, she's had her breasts removed. I am augmented and lopsided. I want all of us, including you, to be able to just be free. Men are just as sacred as women. We are not more sacred. And so we should all either cover up or go bare-chested.
This movement will lead to more sexual attacks against women.
That would I'm surprised. That's actually surprised me, the fact that those two haven't moved, because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they not make a point earlier in the video where they said that it would like harm the battle to or the goal to try and like combat sexual harassment and stuff, or something along those lines? Didn't they say that? I'm pretty sure they did, and if so, then why are they, unless is she
I hesitate a lot because I think part of this movement for me is to change that culture and to change the desexualization of the bodies, and I think with that increased
never thought of that. Yeah.
sexualization, less attacks will happen. In New York, where I am, it's legal to be topless since 1992, so I take advantage of that quite often. But because of the sexualization of my nipples, I've been like harassed, been masturbated at, been like assaulted in other contexts. I'm not going to be ignorant and say like that's not because of my nipples, but I'm also not going to victim blame and say like I deserve that because I'm showing my breasts.
I agree. I think in some way it might be a matter of getting worse before it gets better, but we can't know that until we implement it more places. I have also been masturbated at by a neighbor. He did it twice. I would go out in my yard dressed from head to toe in what I call grubbies to do yard work. I was not looking cute. And yet my neighbor, he took a liking to it, a little too much of a liking, and so I lived in fear for a really long time. I was yelled at for breastfeeding also, many, many years ago, and it shocked me and it made my infant cry.
Yeah.
And the man who got caught looking decided that he was mad that he got caught and said that I was disgusting and I was foul for showing my breasts in public.
I did. Alright, I'm gonna try and explain something, but it might go horribly wrong. So, I mean, yeah, actually, no, I'm not gonna try and explain because it's one of those thoughts again where if I try and explain it, it'll probably be so hard to explain. It's gonna be hard to therefore understand, and I might end up spiraling into a loop. I'm actually gonna just let that carry on because I'm just gonna.
I disagreed because if a regular person is walking by and a woman's topless, I don't think that someone who is not intending to do that, I don't think they're going to just change their mind and go and attack someone. But I just thought about all the women who have been assaulted, who've been like fully clothed.
I definitely notice that when I am topless in New York, it's like people pay attention to me more. So I guess like me having my...
I'm gonna say this, that I have never walked around anywhere and seen someone with, I've never seen someone with a breast out before. I've never seen it. And that is understandable. It's not something you see every day. Because generally the consensus is that everyone has everything covered up and stuff, so... It's something that will definitely be an eye-turner, for sure. That's probably... it will happen.
Nipples showing like is not going to lead to me being assaulted, but it will lead to like more people paying attention to me and attracting all people, including those bad people.
We can't really say that anything more is going to happen because I think no matter what rules are in place, people are still going to be really horrible. But I do think it's going to take away the sacredness of the body.
I'm curious as to what your response to me would be when I say like people paying attention to me more because I'm topless and perceived as a woman.
Being topless does draw attention and takes away from someone really getting to focus on who you are as a person and what you're able to offer besides your body. And that's not to say that
as a man, I will say that and I don't speak for all men because this probably will be the same, but for someone like me, someone who is young and who hasn't had sex before, it would be. And I was talking to someone who was like walking around without a bra or shirt on. It would be very distracting. I'm not gonna lie, it would be.
Like in my past, like I definitely wore suggestive clothing, or I would be intentional about how I dressed because I wanted certain attention.
Did you guys see the Billie Eilish commercial when it was like a Calvin Klein commercial, and she was like fully covered. I think she was wearing like a tracksuit, and she talked about like objectifying and how she found it more empowering not to do like the stereotypical Calvin Klein commercial. Like the free the nipple and going topless is empowering, but I think also it can be empowering not to do that and to wear I don't know, like a t-shirt or a tracksuit.
I think to me, the free the nipple movement comes down to choice rather than like inherently showing that like this is liberating. Because it is really liberating for some people and it's really not liberating for other people.
I like to look at things from a historical perspective because like this has been done before. I think circa 1937, before then, men couldn't even show their nipples in public. They would protest on the beaches and they got arrested a bunch of times. It took a very long time until some judge was like, yeah, that's fine. And then here we are today.
It hasn't even been quite 100 years since then. So I was born in 1976. So in my 45 years on this planet, all I know is that I have not been able to be bare-chested and have even been yelled at for breastfeeding, but men always have been able to.
Children should not be exposed to nipples.
That one, I'm not too sure about. I think this one I'll have to sit back and see what the guys on here say.
Someone who maybe grew up in a household where no one walked around shirtless, and then someone walks around shirtless in public, I feel like that might create a really big shock factor for the kid, or it might make the kid feel uncomfortable. I guess that's my apprehension.
Right. For context, by the way, I know probably editing I won't be able to edit out the fact that I just said right after the port, after the cut there. I was watching, I had to skip an advert, and it was a really fucking weird advert that had people putting some sort of mask, rub-on mask on their face, and then it had these black dots, and it had no explanation as to what it was, or no clear explanation if you didn't know what it was, which I didn't. And then they eventually mentioned it was like sort of a blackhead mover. So that's why I said, oh right, because I finally, after like 1 minute of watching a fucking ad about this cream, I understood what it was. But for context, sorry.
You say about shock factor and stuff. I think to focus on that and to prevent children from seeing nipples is to say to educate the children that oh, this is something bad, this is something I should not look at, and that only just perpetuates the sexualization again, of nipples, that I believe is not necessarily helpful. If a kid were to see a nipple in public, it's not the end of the world, and it's actually helpful to encourage that. And to me, seeing a male nipple versus a female nipple in public shouldn't make a difference about how a child sees that.
I remember the first time I saw a breast was in a book about like African tribes, and there were like women that were feeding their babies, and I was just like, what is this? And people did not explain to me what that was. And if I did see a nipple or I did see a naked body, what is unfortunate is that some people do push that down and just like, oh, we don't talk about that.
Just I guess I want to ask you guys a question regarding children, I guess. If we could find like some way to incorporate this Free the Nipple movement into sex education, especially at the elementary level, about consent and like what the body is, when's okay to sexualize and when it's probably not okay, how would you feel about that, I guess?
I think sex education should be in the home. And I understand that some people don't have great parents. So from my private school experience, they did not talk about sex education in a healthy way. And so I think there is a problem. There does need to be developmentally appropriate
Well, if it's in a healthy, actually no, hold on.
conversation. But I really believe that that should be up to the parent.
I mean, I don't believe so. I think, because the problem with that is that there are some kids that just don't have a good relationship with their parents, and they don't like learn much from their parents, for whatever reason, and so I feel like, I mean, and yes, there is the fact that not everyone will be there, like for some whatever reason, not every child might get education or whatever, but like, I still feel that it should be taught in schools for definite. Because I don't know, I just feel like it's something that you should do, because I mean, I've had it, well, not for all my years of education, but like, I've had it for basically my primary and my secondary school, and I was very well informed about well, everything, like how, like, consent and stuff, and how to put on a condom and everything, and what is and isn't appropriate to do with certain things. So I disagree. I feel like I do think it should still be taught in the schools, because it's, I think, a learning environment, and it's a good place for the kids to learn it there. Why, I'm not too sure. I don't know exactly. I can't explain why I think it's a good idea. It's just based on the fact that I just think that it is a good idea, because I've had it and it's worked for me. So, yeah.
Women's bodies are entitled to the same rights as men's bodies.
Yeah, so I think the notion of like a female body versus male body as a transgender woman is very interesting. You know, for 18 years of my life, basically, I could take off my shirt and like be totally fine with that in the world. And I started hormones when I was in the closet, so I was like passing as male, and I had breasts, right? But I could still take my shirt off, and it's only once I started like being gendered as female that wasn't the case. And to me, that's very like ambiguous of like where I started passing as female, because passing and people perceiving me as female is such a, like an individual experience.
So I disagreed only because I don't like the wording of entitled. We're a very spoiled country. Yes, we should all have equal opportunity, but like, you know, no one's entitled to show anything or do anything that they don't want to do. And so
Right.
I just didn't like that phrasing.
Let's say that we're getting closer to a point where seeing all people able to just walk around bare-chested. If that's going to be so weird that we go in the opposite direction, and it's like, okay guys, you can't go shirtless anymore. Imagine the shock. They're going to be like, no way, you can't do that to me.
I've heard a lot in this conversation about stuff being fair, and the entitlement just really bothered me. Life isn't fair, society isn't fair, people aren't fair, but as a whole, I just don't think that the movement is the answer to the issue we have with the society crap.
That's a wrap.
Yes, again, another interesting video, another interesting topic. I think at the end of the day, I think, and it has been touched upon by a few of the guys in this video. I think at the end of the day, it's all down to choice, I think. So if you want to go around bare-chested as a woman, then sure thing. If you don't, then fine. I'm just gonna do one thing a second, though. What? What? Is it what? Okay, I just tried to look to see if there was any like, laws against wearing not wearing a bra in public, but there's nothing like crystal clear on it. It's all a bit different depending on where you live and stuff. So I'm not gonna say anything on that. But I do think at the end of the day it depends on your choice. So if you want to go around without your bra on, then by all means. If you don't, then sure, why not? Don't wear your bra, or whatever. But yeah, I think I shall leave that one there. I think because I don't have anything else to say. As per usual, let me know what you people think in the comments. What your thoughts on this episode were. If you agreed or disagreed with anything that any of the guys in here said, or if you agreed or disagreed with anything I said, then mention it in the comments. But again, as per usual, middle ground rules apply to the comment section. No harassing people about their beliefs or their opinions or whatever. No arguing or anything or belittling. If that does happen, comments will be removed. I don't want any fighting. Just controlled, nice discussion. And this place can be controlled, and so can the comment section. At least that's I hope. But yeah, so thank you all so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel, Sergeant Beckett. If you like, in the description of this video, there's a link to my link tree. In that link tree, you can find things such as other social medias, Discord servers, some support pages, and a website. Thank you all again for watching. I shall see you all in the next video. Adios.